Well, hey everybody, over the last year or so, I've kind of gotten the impression that a lot of people want me to do a review of Lionel's model of Strasburg 90. I've just kind of gotten that impression. So I guess it's time to give the people what they want. Lionel Strasburg 90 coming up right now on Eric Strains. Alright, so it is mid-January 2024, and Lionel released their new model of Strasburg 90 about 6 or 7 weeks ago, and I think it was late November, early December of 2023. Now, when you're a YouTube creator, whenever there's a new and exciting model, there's kind of this pressure. You want to be the first one to get the video out because you want everybody to watch your video. And while it's kind of fun to do that, and while I have given into that pressure from time to time, there's a price to be paid, because when you do it that way, well, for one, you have to cut corners on the video. You can't spend as much time as you'd like making the video. And for another, you don't have as much time to spend with the model itself. You don't get to know the model as well. And so I figured with Strasburg 90, I'd let everybody else do their videos first, and I'd wait and do the video the way I wanted to do it. And so here we are. Now, the benefit of doing it that way is that I've now spent 6 or 7 weeks with this locomotive, and I've gotten a real appreciation for it. And I can say without reservation that this is one of the most detailed steam locomotives that Lionel has ever made. It's right up there with a Vision Line locomotive. It doesn't have some of the advanced Vision Line features. Basically, the only advanced smoke feature it has is whistle steam. But in terms of the details, the accuracy, and the sound set, which includes the amazing ghost whistle and road name and road number specific dialogue, it's right up there with a Vision Line model. So it's kind of like the Vision Line model that's not a Vision Line model. It's absolutely incredible, and I think you're going to love it too. So without further ado, let's get started. We'll do the unboxing first, and then we'll check out Strasburg 90. All right, here's the box containing Strasburg 90, and unlike most boxes containing legacy locomotives, which are kind of rectangular, this one's actually square. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe we'll find out when we open it up. This is number 75 of 237. The box tag says Strasburg Legacy 2100 number 90, the 1990s version. Model number is 2231020, and an on the water date of November 1st, 2022. Which is weird because they just arrived here in November of 2023. But I think these were kind of lingering for a while. I think Lionel had to make some changes to them or something like that. Maybe we'll talk more about that later in this video, but yeah, strange on the water date. Anyway, for today's unboxing from my knife collection, we'll be using this guy. This is from my Victorinox Swiss Army knife collection, to be exact. And this is the Victorinox golf tool. Kind of cool. And it's got a little knife there, so I don't play golf, but I do collect Victorinox stuff, and the golf tool is one of the knives that they make. And it's got like a little ball marker there. I think that's what it is. Then there's this little, I think that's a divot thing or something. I forget what that's for. I'm not a golf expert. Then you got some scissors, the knife that you just saw, and a nail file. Boy, it's in there tight. Okay, they got a lot of this foam stuff in there. Kind of like with a Vision Line engine or something. Okay, there's an inner box. This is getting weird. Okay, that's really weird. It's like a Russian nesting doll. There's another box inside the box. So we'll pull out the golf tool again and go at it. I wonder why they did that. That is odd. Then again, this thing has been delayed for so long that in a way it kind of makes sense. The weird on the water date, the weird boxing. Just sort of goes along with the delays we've experienced with this thing. And I think the reason it's been delayed is because they wanted to make sure it was done right. Because, Strasburg 90 has a lot of fans, and if you screw it up, people are going to be very, very upset. And, I'm okay with that. When Lionel takes their time to get something right, I'm just fine with that. Like with the base 3 command system, it's been delayed a few times, and that's because they're working to make sure they get it right the first time. And like I said, I'm okay with that. I'd rather it be delayed and be done right than come out quickly and be done wrong. Strasburg Legacy 2100 number 90, 1990s, Legacy and Bluetooth control, Legacy rail sounds, brass and die-cast construction, whistle steam, and 054 minimum curve. Hard to handle this box because it's square rather than rectangle. It's kind of hard to get a grip on it. Okay. Oh wow, they got the Velcro straps. They're not kidding around. All right, there's the instruction manual. Always good to read that. And wow, yeah, this reminds me of like an old Vision Line locomotive with the Velcro strapping and everything to make sure it's safe in shipping. We got all the extra stuff on the outside here, which is unusual. So there's the dummy O-gauge coupler for double heading. There is, what is this? Dome cover for switches. Yeah, this thing just keeps getting more and more unusual the further we get. This is a little wrench tool that you use to undo the driver nuts if you have to take them off. And then we've got a little pipette for smoke fluid. All right. It's like they wanted to take extra precautions to make sure these things arrived intact and unmolested. Okay, they're fastened to the bottom. Oh, there's a stand. Wow, okay. Holy smokes. Okay. Holy cow. This is, I mean, it's like getting a Vision Line engine. Look at that. Got a little display track, if you will. And it's bolted on there. I mean, it's not going anywhere. So, I guess, okay, we got some wing nuts down here. We got some stuff taped down. Wow, this is one of the best packing jobs I've ever seen from Lionel. It really does remind me of like the first Vision Line locomotives, like the ES44 and stuff. Okay, so let me see if I can undo this without having it fall all over the table. Okay, well, we got the tender off. Okay, well, it's an all brass tender, I can tell that, or it's a brass hybrid tender. Brass and die-cast metal. Mostly brass, it seems. It's got kind of that lightweight feel of a brass model. Very cool. All right, let's see if we can get the locomotive off. And there we go. All right, so yeah, I can see why they packed the dome lid separately, because it's very fine and it doesn't just want to snap on there and stay in place. It's on there with magnets, but it's a very light hold, and so you wouldn't want to ship it with the dome on there. So yeah, that was the right choice. Yeah, I mean, just on first glance, this thing looks amazing. Now, I'm no expert on Strasburg 90, but to me, it looks great. I think this is one of the best packing jobs I've ever seen Lionel do, and it paid off because this is a very finely detailed model. Lots of brass, lots of detailing, and it arrived intact. So kudos to Lionel for that. Anyway, let's get this up on the layout and continue the review. All right, and here it is on the layout. Man, this thing looks fantastic. So we'll start off with a little bit of history on the real Strasburg 90, and then we'll get back to the Lionel model that we have here. So Strasburg 90, also known as Great Western 90, is a 210-0 decapod type steam locomotive, and the 210-0 refers to the wheel arrangement, so it means we've got two wheels up front, 10 drive wheels, and 0 trailing wheels. Number 90 is currently owned and operated by the Strasburg Railroad, SRC, out of Strasburg, Pennsylvania. Built by Baldwin Locomotive Works in June of 1924, number 90 originally pulled sugar beet trains for the Great Western Railway of Colorado. Strasburg Railroad purchased number 90 from the Great Western on April 5, 1967, at a price of $23,000, which is the equivalent of about $210,000 today, and the locomotive arrived on SRC's property 1 month later, and then number 90 would make its first run for the SRC on May 13th of 1967, and to this day, Strasburg 90 continues to pull excursion trains on a regular basis. Now, I myself have never visited Strasburg, but it's not too far from York, Pennsylvania, and so one of these years when I go up for the York train show, I'll make a side trip over to Strasburg and check it out. So now let's turn our attention back to the model that we have here. So Lionel offered this version of Strasburg 90 in their 2021 Volume 2 catalog, and it took quite a while for these things to be delivered. They finally showed up in late 2023. I think it was early December of 2023 to be exact. Lionel offered 8 versions of the 210-0. Most of them were for Strasburg and Great Western versions. So they did Great Western number 90. They did a 2000s version of Great Western number 90. They did the 1990s version of Strasburg 90, which is what we have here. They also did a 2000s version of Strasburg 90, and then a 1967/2020 version of Strasburg 90. Additionally, they also did Seaboard 525, Osage Railway number 10, and an unpainted pilot version. Now, whichever version you choose, the price is the same. The full retail price on this locomotive is right at $1,900, $1,899.99. Yeah, not cheap. Now, what makes this model special is that it is a brass hybrid. So unlike most other Lionel steam locomotives, which are made of primarily die-cast metal, this is a hybrid. It's a combination of die-cast metal and brass. And the reason Lionel likes to do brass hybrid models from time to time is because it allows for finer detail and more variation in details across the different versions. All right, so let's get some stats on this thing. First, we'll get the length. So, looks like it's right about 18 inches long. Next, let's weigh it, and because this model has a lot of brass on it rather than die-cast metal, I'm not expecting this thing to be particularly heavy. So the locomotive weighs 3 pounds, 15.1 ounces, and the tender, this thing has a lot of brass on it, so 1 pound, 8.9 ounces. Yeah, that's about what I expected. And we'll get both of them together. And we have a grand total of 5 pounds, 8 ounces, 5.5 pounds. Not bad considering how much brass is on this model. Now, because this is a relatively short locomotive, the minimum curve needed for operation is only 0.54, so that makes this pretty friendly to small layouts with tight curves. I mean, you can't run it on 0.31 or something like that, but 0.54 is pretty good. When I tested the pulling power for Strasburg 90 here, it came in right at 1 pound, 9 ounces. Now, if this was one of the more typical steam locomotives that Lionel makes, where it's almost all die-cast metal and therefore very heavy, 1 pound, 9 ounces would be pretty lackluster. But in this case, it's perfectly fine because, as I said, they traded a lot of the die-cast metal for brass on this model to get finer detailing, and so it weighs less, therefore it's going to pull a little bit less than an all die-cast model. But, 1 pound, 9 ounces, that'll let you pull maybe 15 to 20 passenger cars. So if we're pulling all of the matching Strasburg passenger cars that Lionel made to go with this thing, it's going to do just fine. I mean, it's meant for passenger service, and in that capacity, it's going to do just great. Now, that 1 pound, 9 ounces of pulling power is generated by a flywheel motor that's located in the locomotive. Of course, in the tender, you've got the electronics for legacy command, legacy rail sounds, and Bluetooth. There's also a fan-driven smoke unit for the smokestack and for the whistle steam smoke effect. You've got all LED lighting for the headlight, the backup light, the classification lights, and the interior cab illumination. And there's also a red glow in the firebox when the engine is in operation. And you've also got the bi-color classification light feature, which allows you to change the color of the classification lights, thereby making the operation a lot more realistic. All right, now I want to go in for some close-up shots because, as I said earlier, this is one of the most detailed locomotives I've seen from Lionel in a long time. And it's not like Strasburg 90 is an incredibly detailed, fancy locomotive, but it's just that Lionel did everything so well. The attention to detail is really amazing. So you can see we've got a really detailed front pilot here, a coupler cut bar, some hoses, and a scale coupler. And if you want to, you can swap out that scale coupler for a dummy O-gauge coupler that's also packaged with the locomotive when you buy it. The front of the smoke box also looks incredible. We've got some nice add-on grab irons, operating classification lights and then an operating headlight with lighted number boards. And the front of the smoke box does open up like that. And then as we turn the corner, you can see more add-on grab irons as well as legible builder's plates. And speaking of piping, look at all of that excellent piping detail on the underside. It just looks amazing. Up on top, we've got the smokestack, and there is a fan-driven smoke unit down in there. And then we've got this sand dome. And earlier I said that it didn't stay on very firmly, but it actually does. You just have to snap it down. I just wasn't being firm enough with it. But if I pull it off, you can see we've got the controls, the run program switch, Bluetooth on-off, and smoke on-off. And then when it comes time to put this lid back on, there's a little indentation here and a tab on the underside of this cover so that it'll only go on one way, and you just sort of have to press it down firmly like that. Behind that, we've got this really nice swinging brass bell, a steam dome, and then look at this whistle. It looks amazing. It's even got the little whistle lanyard going back to the cab. And this locomotive does have the whistle steam smoke effect, so when you blow the whistle, it'll shoot smoke out of the whistle, giving the illusion of steam shooting out of the whistle. Behind that, we've got a really nice looking dynamo and some more piping and the lanyard for the bell. And then on top of the cab, we've got this little vent that opens up like that. As you can see, the exterior of the cab looks great. We've got these nice rails up here, and then these little windscreens that are hinged on either side of the windows. Very cool. The interior of the cab is amazing. There are 2 hand-painted crew figures in there. There is interior lighting, as I said earlier. There's a red glow in the firebox when the engine is in operation. And you can see here, let me get the pointer in there, but you can see just one of the many hand-painted gauges and valves. They did an excellent job in here. Here's a look at the underside of Strasburg 90. We've got 3 center rail pickup rollers and then 2 traction tires on the last set of drivers. Here's a look at the gap between the locomotive and the tender. It's not bad, and we do have this hinged drop plate between the two, and that drop plate does have safety tread on top, which is a nice touch. On top of the tender, we've got a load of real coal. Yes, these are little bits of real coal up here. Then we've got a backup light that has lighted number boards on either side. And check out this detailing. We've got this power supply for the light going across the top of the tender. How cool is that? And then we've got an opening hatch for the water. And here's a view of the back of the tender. We've got an electrocoupler down here, lots of add-on details, including a ladder, and then we've got the 2 operating classification lights. And finally, here's a look at the underside of the tender. We've got 2 center rail pickup rollers, 1 per truck. There's the sensor for the Lionel LCS sensor track if you choose to use one. And then right here is the speaker for the sound system. All right, the last thing we're going to do before we start this thing up is... All right, best feature this time around is an absolute no-brainer. It's the new ghost whistle feature that Lionel added to this locomotive. It sounds so incredible. I absolutely love it. And quite honestly, I hope that Lionel starts adding the ghost whistle feature to all of their steam locomotives going forward, at least Vision Line locomotives. It is just too cool to have on this one locomotive and nothing else. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and start up Strasburg 90.
Train 1 Brakeman SRC 90. Let's get an application for continuity test. Good application, okay to release. Train 1 Brakeman SRC 90, we have good set, good release, good continuity on timetable train number 1, over.
Yeah, that's a Roger. Good set, good release, good continuity on timetable train number 1, 90 out.
All right, so first let's check out the whistle, and they do give you a choice of 5 different whistles. My favorite whistle is number 1. Let me know which whistle is your favorite. And now let's check out the bell, and there are 5 different bell tones. My favorite bell tone is number 2, but let me know which one is your favorite. Now, of course, no demonstration of the whistle on this locomotive would be complete without demonstrating the ghost whistle effect. This is by far, in my opinion, one of the best sound effects that Lionel has done in years. It's activated by pressing the aux 3 key on the Legacy remote, and it sounds absolutely stunning. Check it out. And lastly, let's check out some of the crew talk sounds, and you'll note that this locomotive does have road name and road number specific dialogue, which is super cool.
Trainmaster, this is SRC number 90. Ready to roll. Can I pull over?
Things are taking a little longer than usual. Sit tight until I can get the line clear. Out.
Call in the flagman and let's get going.
Brakes at SRC 90. Apply the brakes, please. Release 90.
Better tend to that fire while we're waiting. Gonna be a hard pull ahead. Timetable only gives us 10 minutes for this stop. I'll tend the fire. Go top off the take.
We're loaded up on the go rocks. 90 out. Trainmaster, this is SRC number 90. Ready to roll. Can I pull over?
You are clear to proceed. Out.
Dispatcher, this is SRC number 90. Are we still clear all the way? Over.
Yes, sir. All clear ahead. Out.
Dispatcher, this is SRC number 90. Are we still clear all the way? Over.
Yes, sir. All clear ahead. Out.
J-Tower, this is SRC number 90. Binders applied. We're off to sign the register book. 90 out.
All right, so there you have it, Lionel's new Strasburg 90. You know, it took Lionel almost 2 years to deliver this model, but I think it was worth the wait. Lionel wanted to get it right, and I think they did. This model is absolutely amazing. I love it, and I'm so glad I got it. Now, like I said, regardless of which version you get, the price is the same. The retail price is right at $1,900, but keep in mind that is the full retail price. If you go through a good Lionel dealer, you should be able to get a decent discount off that retail price. And as always, if you're looking for a good Lionel dealer, try my favorite train store, which is Legacy Station. You can find them on the web at legacystation.com or give them a call at 770-339-7780. If you'd like to support this channel, I would greatly appreciate it. That can be done through Patreon at patreon.com/ericstrains. Patreon supporters get access to all sorts of perks and benefits, and you can read about those benefits on my Patreon page. I'd like to put a big thank you out there to all of my Patreon supporters. Your support means the world, not only to me, but to the future of this channel. And an extra super big thank you goes out there to my premium tier Patreon supporters. You'll see their names at the end of this video. Anyway, that's going to do it for now. I'm Eric Siegel. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.